Hey guys, welcome to Meta episode number 9. It is a day late because I was on vacation, but here I am, and finally I get some of my Zergs back. I don't know how Theognis snuck right back in the show after all those Terrans last week, but I guess how are you doing, Theognis?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just doing a lot of practice and coaching recently. Just trying to prepare for MLG maybe next week. So.
Yep. Yeah, I was watching your stream. More people need to watch Theognis' stream. It's actually really hilarious, dry humor. Like when the Oracle just keeps on killing. He like sends your SCVs back against Desro, and like the Oracle just keeps shooting. I thought they ran out of energy, but apparently not this one. You're like, the fuck does that? How long does this last? God damn it! And then it's a good stream. People should tune into that more often. Yeah. But anyways, Catz, how's it going, buddy?
I'm doing good. Yeah, lots of shit going on. So happy.
I missed you last week. You should play random so that I can just have you on the Terran Only show as well.
I should do that.
Oh.
But I won't.
Oh. And Greg, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. I found out yesterday that 15,000 people will tune in to watch me suck at Terran, so that makes life pretty good, I guess.
Wow. Do you suck at Terran?
Pretty bad. TVT was my best matchup because you don't really have to do anything. You just make Hellbats and like send them at each other. Mm-hmm. And like I don't think there's really too much way to differentiate yourself, so I was just like flipping coins TVT.
So a quick question for you. Is the reason why you're bad at Terran is because it's much harder to play than Zerg?
Oh.
No, it's because I'd never played it before. I actually didn't know TVP builds. It was pretty funny. I was just like getting things in random orders. My chat was making fun of me.
I'll tell you how to play. You should just go mech. It's fine. It works well.
I was doing that at TVT. That may also be why that matchup was good.
Yeah, you probably remember.
I should basically just make Hellbats, not mech. Hellbats.
Is that even considered a mech unit?
I don't know, since Medevacs heal them. This shouldn't be.
Yeah, but... Wait, they heal SCVs too, so they're basically just giant SCVs, right? Like...
Giant SCVs with flamethrowers. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's like the reverse SCV, because SCV, like, gathers minerals, and the Hellbat destroys minerals for your opponent, so... Alright, anyways, let's start talking about Dreamhack, because, of course, that is what just went on. It was kind of a crazy tournament with a lot of upsets, and... Well, I mean, Stardust ended up winning. Where should we even start? Do you guys have any particular games that really you were like, whoa, this is some cool shit I'm watching?
Well, there's one that was kind of the opposite, the Star Station game in the finals. I mean, I guess that's kind of cool if you're Stardust, but...
Oh, yeah, where, like,
the probes
Jaedong shouldn't have lost that in a million billion years and then just didn't send his mutas back?
Yep, that one.
That one? Yeah, that was... Did you guys see that? Here, just for anyone who didn't happen to catch, the finals, Stardust used like a lot of like 2-base and 3-base all-ins, and it was mutas against him when he had like, there were 15 mutas out, and there were 6 sentries for anti-air. And he could have just flown back and killed the army, but Jaedong's like, I gotta get this Nexus right now, and ended up losing a game that, quite frankly, he should have ended up winning. Do you guys have any opinions on that one? Because that one's kind of like straightforward. No?
You didn't see it, so...
Oh, you didn't see that
Can't
one?
say too much.
Well, you're a Terran. I don't really expect you to watch all the PVZs. That's reasonable.
Whoa, burn. I didn't watch it either.
Whoa, you're a Zerg. You should have watched that, Catz. That is unprofessional right there. But no, okay, let's talk about Stardust's actual strategy that he was using so much here. It's like he gets 2 forges... pretty quickly, and he had a couple ways of doing this. It was basically, for anyone who didn't watch Dreamhack, he played countless Zergs. He like went through Violet, Jaedong, what was the other Zerg? Hyun. He beat Hyun as well. Like Zergs that you wouldn't think Stardust would beat, but he used like a lot of +1 7-gate attacks, and he used, if that failed, he went into this other build, but sometimes he just went straight into this build where he gets like 3 to 4 Immortals, like 12 Sentries, Mass Zealot, and he has 2-1 upgrades. And he just kind of goes and kills Zergs with it. What do you guys think about the strategy? Like, do you think that this is actually something that could pop up? It was weird. It was not like the most refined build or anything. It was... I feel like it was he just kind of feels his way through it with that one.
Yeah, I think it's a good build, but I don't think it's like a super amazing build. It's just something that Zergs may not have been used to or expecting so much. For instance, I know that no one there knew how Stardust played. Andrew, Violet's manager, messaged me before Violet played. He was like, "Hey, do you know how Stardust plays? Because we have no fucking idea." And I was like, "Well, no, not really. Like, I remember he liked Stargates and Wings of Liberty, and then that's about all I could say." So I think that was a big factor in it working so well. Just that people didn't really expect it.
Yeah.
This
You
is
got any thoughts?
Yeah, it's actually been the style that he's used since back in Wings, and it was pretty unique to him. I mean, I guess it's still pretty unique to him. But back then, I thought it was powerful to the extent that it might be overpowered, because what it is it gets that composition, the Zealots, the Immortals, and whatnot. That's all super, super strong against ground, but obviously the weakness is it can't shoot up. But Zerg's air units, mutas, it takes a while before they actually become a legitimate fighting force. You don't just spawn your first 9 and all of a sudden have an actual fighting army. And the fact that he puts down that third nexus makes you think it's not an immortal all-in. So it's really dangerous for you to sit there and actually just massive roachling and try and crush it. But at the same time, if you do go muta, then he actually attacks before the third nexus kicks in. So he comes before you have a mass mutas to hold it off. So in Wings, it was incredibly hard to deal with. In HOTS, there's kind of another hard counter to it, that being the Swarm Host. But then he adapted to that by sometimes mixing in even faster builds, like we saw in the final game against Jaedong, where he moves out with 2 Immortals just super, super fast. And that hits before the Swarm Hosts have hit a reasonable amount. And so it becomes kind of a guessing game, but it's a super powerful build, but it's really cheesy, because if you guess the wrong way, if you do the early attack into a massive Roach Hydra, you just get crushed. If you do the late attack into Swarm Host, you just get crushed. He happened to be making either the right reads, maybe there's something that tells him which way to go that we didn't recognize, or he was just getting really lucky.
He did grab a pretty quick observer in a few of those games to help check that out, and he was always moving out with the Zealot and the Stalker. So I think that that's definitely some parts he's trying to pick up enough information to choose, because I noticed that as well. He had several variations of it, and he had a few things that it went into. And actually, it's pretty interesting, because I saw a lot of posts and people talking about wow, look at these force fields, and look at all the strategy and stuff. And here's my take on Stardust and we did, because actually this guy is he's pretty cool. I loved his interviews and stuff. Really passionate kid, very good skill. But it's not like he has the best micro or the best force fields, or even a build that I think is broken, right? I think what he has is a really good understanding of the pressuring of Zerg and making them use larva non-stop. Tell me if you guys think that this is a part of it, because especially on the game against Jaedong and Belshir Vestige, he just sat there forever. He just sat there, and Jaedong had to make a ton of lings. He had to make a lot of spines, and he just waits and waits and waits, and knows that the Zerg's economy is just not going to get any better. It was actually really kind of cool and refreshing to see, when mostly the only Protoss games we get to see are things like Parting playing better than anyone else, or Rain being just too good defensively. But this was a guy that he knows his stuff as far as how to keep the pressure on the Zerg nonstop.
Yeah, as a Zerg player,
Go ahead.
As a Zerg player, it's kind of nice and kind of terrible to see, because this is the kind of stuff that you'll get random players on ladder who do this, whether accidentally or maybe they figured it out themselves and just aren't particularly good. But they'll just sit in the middle of the map. They'll do an Immortal all in, but then they won't all in. They'll sit in the map and keep building up units. And it's so hard and stressful as a Zerg player trying to figure out, okay, do I make my 5th and 6th gases? Do I tech up? Or is he about to attack me? Because there's no real way to know when they're going to attack. And that's just one of the hardest things to deal with. And I'm honestly not sure where the weakness is. I mean, besides the fact that if you guess wrong and the Zerg guesses right, then you're in a really tough situation. But an actual weakness to it, a way to get outplayed, as long as you're very mindful of counterattacks, because that's the thing, you can't split up your army. You do have to keep your army as a cohesive unit. If you're mindful of counterattacks, it's just so hard for Zerg to play against. And like you said, it's putting that constant pressure on the Zerg player, never letting them take control of the game or figure out how to spend their larva, because that's everything Zerg macro is early on, is spending your larva as drone heavy as possible without dying. Yeah, and you can't do that safely and greedy against this at all.
Yeah, to add on to that, like later on as well, like you don't know if you're supposed to continue upgrading or making units or continue teching up or, getting greater spire or something like that. Like there's not many Protoss that actually do this.
Yeah.
I know my roommate does it a lot. I know Jogging Hose from Europe does it a lot, and it's fucking annoying. And like if they just need to warp in like somewhere close to you, and you don't know if they're gonna attack you or not. And the difference, like, why hasn't this gotten figured out? Well, it's Heart of the Storm, right? Because the reason this is possible is the Mothership Core. You're running absolutely no risk by having your entire army out on the map at all points in time, and yet there's people not doing it. I'm not sure why.
I like the way that you worded that one. Greg, why are they not doing it?
I really don't know either. I said, like mostly on my stream, but on shows and stuff too, right from the start, the Mothership Core gives you a free pass to be in Zerg's face constantly, and being in Zerg's face is the best way to make Zerg not as good as Zerg seems to be. Is because I have absolutely no idea why they don't do it at all. Like as long as you have a wall in up, there's no risk because you're going to be able to recall back before a counterattack gets in, and if your army gets caught, you just recall. Like Catz said, it's just an absolute free pass to be out there.
I mean, against certain unit compositions, obviously you don't want to do it against Swarm Hosts. Probably you don't want to do it against Muta. But just like the most standard CVP,
Actually,
like...
Yeah. The only thing is, if you do get the Mothership Core sniped, generally when you're playing that style, you do have an underpowered army relative to what Zerg could have. So if like a Viper pulls the Mothership Core, or if Mutas take it out, or if you just randomly lose to Hydras, then you can lose.
If you have Vipers, you probably don't have to worry about that too much by then.
That's true, yeah. But if you do just randomly lose a Mothership Core, then you basically just lose the game, because that becomes so important with that style.
Yeah, you're also really bad.
That too.
That's true as well, yeah. Actually, what you're saying about keeping your army out there because of Mothership Core, I think that really struck home for me once again in that Belshir game, because his first attack got just completely slaughtered by Jaedong, and I'm like, ooh, this is bad. And I almost stopped paying attention for a minute, but then he just kept warping in units there, and kept warping units there, and kept the Mothership Core over it. And I'm like, well, nothing can really go wrong. Jaedong can try to run around it, but then if he sniffs that out, he can attack a base and then warp back and be fine. So he played with, basically, I feel like what he did to win his whole championship was he took this set of understanding on how to pressure Zerg very well, and he just used it over and over and over, and the Zergs didn't react quite well enough. But I do want to say I think Jaedong actually figured him out by the end. If you look at the builds Jaedong did, he actually was reacting. Like he actually got the mutas in Star Station. Yeah, he lost the game, but he got them. And then what you were saying, Greg, about the Swarm Host, he tried that in Game 5, where he said Jaedong thought he understood how to kill the build, but Stardust had that one extra timing he hadn't even shown yet, where he moves with 2 Immortals instead of 3 or 4.
Yep. Yeah, that's the one thing I would give Stardust credit for. It was really good mind games or scouting or whatever told him, and the preparation to have a response for that and to recognize it and just do it on the fly there. That is the one thing they really deserves credit for. But otherwise, this is just a super strong build that, I don't know.
It reminds me a lot of the Naniwa run. Like, he also got to the finals by just beating Zergs with kind of the same build over and over again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it's gonna become super popular or super powerful or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I attribute the win to a certain amount to luck. To be completely honest, I don't think Stardust is a great player. I just don't think he's as good as Jaedong, say.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think Stardust would say that he's a better player than Jaedong, and not just because he's a Korean programmer that knew who Jaedong was in StarCraft 1. He beat him in the series, but again, at least the first 4 games could have all been Jaedong's, right? There were little tiny things like not sending his mutas back, and the probes happen to be around where he has to make his last geyser and stuff like that. So definitely some mistakes there. And speaking of Jaedong, he is actually looking fucking good right now. I don't know how many of his games you guys watched, but in his ZVTs and stuff, I remember when Life went on his big winning streak, I'm like, wow, Life is looking like Jaedong looked in StarCraft 1, the way he's playing. Whereas when I watched this Dreamhack and I watched all these Jaedong games, I'm like, oh wow, Jaedong looks more like Jaedong than Life does. Which sounds obvious, but no. I mean, he was playing pretty god mode, and Theognis, I'm sure you watched
Yeah.
at least a few of his ZVTs.
Yeah, he looked really good. That's kind of what I was saying. Just the heavy counterattack style. I feel like that's the strongest style to play ZVT at the moment. And Jaedong, he has the mechanics. Like if you ever watch his stream, he has like perfect injects. So
yeah.
it's never about skill. It's always about just his rhythm and if he finds his style, because he has the mechanics, so he can just plug and chug it like any style he wants. So once he finds that, like he's gonna be pretty unstoppable, I feel.
Yeah, like people keep talking about how well Flash did it. Why hasn't Jaedong gotten up there yet? But I think he's actually just about there right now, because exactly what you said about the injects is like what I noticed number one, because this man makes a lot of mutalisks, kind of like a Stefano-esque type of style where he just makes so many mutas he can always counterattack. But his creep spread is so goddamn far out, and he has so many units at all times that no one is able to actually break through on his creep. He just kind of attack moves his Lings and Banes in and goes and kills a command center,
Yeah, it's strong because you really need the good mechanics to pull off that style, like the counter attack, because you're gonna go kill a base, but you have to hold the counter attack because they're gonna come and try and kill your fourth or third. But if you have really good injects, the Terran's gonna overcommit onto the creep, and then they're gonna force a bad engagement just because they're running onto creep, and then they could just take out the entire army. So you really need good mechanics to pull off that style, I feel.
And I don't know if I've seen anyone actually have as many extra Lings and Banelings at home to defend as what I was seeing this weekend from Jaedong. Like, it was... Like, I haven't... Maybe Roro and Sulky, but... Like, when I was watching Jaedong, it did feel a little bit different with how much he had. Like, none of the attacks ever seemed to even threaten him. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you have to do when you're playing heavy on Muta. Like, just crush whatever attack comes in and kind of, like, catch it off guard, right? Like, they're like, oh, his army's out, I should move in. And then the turn oftentimes doesn't even, like, bother to split, because, they're fucking trying to deal with it in their base while pushing their army through your fourth, third, whatever it is, and if you show up with a bunch of Banelings, kaboom.
Kaboom. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, because the hardest part about ZVT right now is that Terran can kind of just split everything up, and then when you can't control every battle, Widow Mines are usually end up being more efficient, because if you're not watching everything, eventually they're going to get good hit off, and it just takes one good Widow Mine hit to really change the game. But if you kind of flip that around and you're taking initiative on those counterattacks and forcing them to play more of a base trade kind of scenario, then you're not... because it's still multiple front battles, but it's just they're not set up the same way, and they're not in the same situation, and they have more things to lose. Like, they have the SCVs there. If you get a good Baneling hit, then that's kind of the reverse situation where one good Baneling hit can make everything worthwhile. And you're actually panicking them a little bit, so usually they're deciding which engagement they're actually focusing on and looking at. So they'll be looking at whichever battle you have a bunch of Banelings coming into and focusing that with the mines. But now all of a sudden they have this other more important situation back at home, like Catz said, where it's very important to keep their SCVs alive and to keep the production alive, so they can't just focus on the main battle and keep away your Banelings every time. So it gives you a lot more opportunities to get the efficient trade that you usually don't get with Widow Mines out on the field.
Yeah. The heavy mutalist style, I'm actually falling in love with watching Jaedong play this, which I liked watching it when Stefano was doing it, during WCS EU finals, but it looks a little bit different with Jaedong. I feel like the way that he actually made Tasia look bad. That doesn't happen very often
that was so
in TBC,
bad.
right? He made Tasia look just bad, just wow, Tasia, you're not as good as him. Why are you playing against him? This is a waste of his time, which is that's startling to me, and that's scary that we're actually getting a Zerg that's able to do something like this. But I guess what I want to get into is who was it? It might have been Tasia that did it, but someone figured out, but it was too late, to start putting up Widow Mines with their missile turrets around their minerals, because this was the only way to slow down those mutas. Is this actually going to become the counter to someone who has mechanics this good?
I think it should be the counter to anyone who makes more than 12 mutas, just because, I mean, it's really, really good. You should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a response to the build in itself. You need to identify that they're playing that style. I mean, getting a bunch of mutas otherwise is not great because in the main engagement, there's the mutas are usually what you leave behind to pick off the like in Wings of Liberty, right? You would leave the mutas back, killing the tanks, trying to pick off the medevacs, while the banelings and the links roll towards the bio. Now the mutas in a big engagement don't have the same function because usually there's no tanks and the medevacs have speed boosts, or so like you want the mutalisks usually for map control, maybe a little bit of harassment, but mainly to shut down the drops. So if they're making more than a few mutas, that's definitely gonna mean that they're trying to play that style, I think.
Yeah.
And then people need to adapt, just like they adapted in Wings of Liberty. Like the same style was popular for different reasons, and it kind of taught Terrans to make walls with supply depots and bunkers and leave a couple tanks behind. So they need to adapt again.
Yeah, that's kind of what they need to do, but it kind of sucks because if you leave too much back, then the Zerg can just circle back around, and then you don't have a big army in the center of the map, and then they can just flank you and kill you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if they tend to make a lot of mutas, I also like to mix in a few Thors as well. I feel like it's really strong. Just 1 or 2 Thorms. I haven't left any behind, but yeah, like leaving mines next to turrets is really good as well. So.
It's kind of funny seeing how much in the past 1 month TVZ has changed, right? Because it looked like Zerg couldn't win for a couple weeks in there, and then all these all-ins erupted, and the Roach Banelings, right? And then it's like, well, now it's like the Terran is having a really hard time figuring out what the hell is coming at them because they're just hiding the tech. And now we're actually starting to see Zergs pop up. It's like, oh, no, this guy has good enough mechanics that he just has enough to stop you while flying around with a huge Mutalisk ball.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are making tanks now against the Roach Baneling Woolen, which is what we talked about, like, that one time, right? We were like, Terrans need to make tanks against it. They need to make tanks or they'll die, and they've started making tanks, so they're not dying to it anymore. The thing is, Terran has been playing a solid style and modifying it, and Zerg has been trying to like find these holes in their play and going with that, and it's working well so far. But I don't know if we're gonna run out of juice, or maybe there will be enough strategies that you can just use one of them, at any point in time, and then they'll have to be weak against something.
Yeah.
I think it might just end up be a matter of like judging the swings in the metagame because, like you said, they're making a lot more tanks now, and tanks are quite bad against Mutaling Baneling, particularly the Mutaling part of it. So this is kind of just Terrans are playing less greedy, so this is the way to take advantage of that. So it gives you an advantage. So I mean, part of it is, of course, Jaedong is Jaedong. He never missed an inject, perfect mechanics, and all that. But the other part of it is if Terrans are playing safer, that makes the Zerg look better. All else the same.
For sure.
Dude, this weekend I saw a lot of people were doing the Theognis build, man. They were doing the Hellion Banshee. I swear, it's good.
I was just gonna pop that question. Is it still going to be coming back, despite the fact that we're seeing some Zergs go back heavily into Muta?
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the best option if you don't want to get tanks. It's kind of middle of the road build against Roach Bane, and it's not totally bad because you can still go into like Biomine. Because you can just hold it off with a few Banshees. Gumiho did it and Tasia did it a few games. So I don't know if it was going to be a mainstream, but I think it's good.
I love that you call it the Theognis build, even though every pro Terran did it non-stop for months. That's clearly the Theognis build.
Yep.
You know what we should all do is just go around and like choose old builds that don't exist right now. Be like, listen, if this comes back, man. If this comes back, it's the Artosis build for sure, alright?
Hey, I
Nexus cancel 5 gates. That's the Artosis build, alright? If that shit comes back, man, that's what you're all to call it.
So many builds are coming back, it's ridiculous.
It is. In fact...
It's like people don't know how to deal with them anymore,
Yeah. And they're already kind of tried and tested. And in fact, I did want to bring up one of them that actually Stardust did. And it was against, I think it was against Violet. Let me just check real quick. Yes, okay, against Violet on Neoplanet S. Greg, you're going to remember this build. He actually went +1 Zealot Void Ray. He actually did that, and you can't use Pylons of Warping on high ground anymore, but he went for the +1 Zealot push with Void Rays, and this is a very, very old build from back in the days when Idra actually like lived in practice with the Slayers team. Like, that's how old this is from Wings of Liberty. And he brought it back, but he had a little bit of a variation, right? He started out kind of normal, and then he added 2 gates. And he just kept making the Void Rays, but you know what? He like kind of stabilized and was losing enough units that he didn't have to build so many pylons, and added the 2 gates and just kept on warping in. And eventually, as the Zealot attacks kind of fell away a little bit, he went into more Sentries and Zealots. And then he had, it was kind of like his other pushes, but with Void Rays instead of Immortals. And the one thing, I looked at this and I was like, this is so old. Like, this is it's a variation, but it's such an old build that we haven't seen forever. But the Void Ray is so much better than it used to be that as long as he gets a couple hits on each queen, the Void Ray just doesn't die. It just kills stuff, and it kills roaches so much quicker. What do you guys, I don't know if you guys saw that game, but what do you think of that? Because that, I was intrigued when I put all the pieces together in my brain as to why Stardust was doing that.
If it had Void Rays, it's usually a good build.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I didn't see the game, but I'd agree with that. So many times, particularly like Void Ray Immortal all-ins, 2-base Void Ray Immortal, I see it coming. I'm like, that's a tiny army. He has like 3 Sentries and 2 Immortals and 3 Void Rays and then some random stuff. And I'll just crush that. Then it wins. It's like Void Ray DPS is just, if you have anything with armor, yeah.
Yeah. As a more serious response, I suppose, I think that Infestors are great against that sort of unit composition because it always clumps up. Both the Zealots and the Void Rays have a hard time spreading from each other. So if you have Infestors with any sort of support, but it's sometimes hard to both guess that's exactly what's going on until you see it for sure.
Do you think you'd have time to grab that against like heavy +1 4-gate pressure as well as voids? Think you'd be fine grabbing fungals?
Well, it's rough. Maybe with Queen Roach instead of taking up to Hydras or something like that. I mean, Queens are better than Hydras against Void Rays in my opinion. It's just a matter of identifying it like soon enough to start making, or if it hits late enough that you can get Infestors and Hydras out or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I think you couldn't get both, but yeah, I would say the Queens are probably a better choice there for sure, in my opinion, as well. Especially with the transfuses, because then you have to do your Void Ray math, and instead of just looking at the Hydras, like, oh, I can kill all this, and you hit like the charge button because you don't understand the game. You're like, extra damage. Which, by the way, everyone needs to stop hitting that charge button when they're targeting down a queen. It's like I'm like, oh, guys.
I'll disagree with that. It just looks so scary from a Zerg perspective. Like, when I see that charge, I don't care what they're attacking. I'm like, that's not doing extra damage, but it really looks like it is. I'm not gonna fight.
I've caught myself doing that with Hydras. I've been like, he has a charge, I gotta run away, and then wait a sec, not run away anyway. That's scary.
Yeah.
Well,
there's still Void Rays.
It's that scary, huh? Can you charge a hallucinated Void Ray?
I doubt.
I don't know.
That'd be funny.
I don't think so. Because I had this vision in my head of Huck against Hydra again, but never mind.
That's terrible.
That another time. Okay, so Jaedong, let's talk about him for one more second, because I think I don't know who's going to the next Dreamhack. I assume Jaedong is. I think he's going to win it. I think that if they replayed the finals, for certain he wins. I think he outplayed pretty much everyone at that term. Did anyone actually play like a stronger, more solid game than Jaedong?
Not in the games I watched, but I didn't watch a lot of them.
I was the most impressed with it. I was impressed with Stardust because he played so above where I thought that he was at, I guess. But the overall like championship level play, I think I saw it in Jaedong there.
Yeah, I think he's definitely getting to where he needs to be. He's been doing better in Pro League too. Like, he started off so badly in Heart of the Storm. So he's certainly been doing better. And I don't know, he's always had like this decent finishes in tournaments, but he never seems to get too lucky. And I think that CVP has always been a weakness of his in part of the Swarm. At least it was early in Pro League, but maybe he's fixing that now.
Yeah, it seems so to me.
He looks super good in CVT and CVZ.
Well, did you guys get to check out any of the like crazy upsets like Show taking out Life or TLO taking out Squirtle?
Yeah, I saw both those games. I thought they were pretty interesting. Yeah, the Show versus Life ones were really nice. He kind of did the same style both times, just kind of Hellbat drops, but they didn't do too much. And then it was sort of like a take on the MVP builds where he opens up with the Hellbat drops and does like a stim timing.
Yeah.
But from there he played pretty standard. I think Life kind of just lost the games because he had pretty like shoddy engagements.
Yeah.
Like he was just kind of like running into 8 Hellbats and like losing all the Lings and Banes. And yeah, that's pretty much the story of that. But it was really exciting though.
Yeah, that Star Station game was like when he lost that 4th base. I felt like I was like, oh, this is a little bit below what I'm used to seeing from Life. But then he turned it on and was like Life down at his new 4th and just like held shit and like almost killed Show. But
yeah, I was pretty surprised that he actually made the game out of it because he was like, it was 2-2 against 3-3.
I thought he was gonna leave. I like half watched from there. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I thought it was totally over once 3-3 finished, but for some reason he like kept the game going on for 15 minutes, even though he was still on layer tech at like 25 minutes. So yeah, it's pretty good.
And to touch on that, like not too many people add Hellbats to their bio composition because they're making mines instead. But I think that Hellbats are a really good option, alternative. I know Theognis was trying it at some point.
Oh yeah, I still do it.
Yeah, you still do it. Yeah, I don't know which one's better, but it's always mines. So when people mixing Hellbats, it's kind of a little bit awkward because if you don't kill the Hellbats with your Banelings, then your Lings are completely useless after that. Like completely useless.
Yeah, actually. That's so true. The 5 or 6 Hellbats that he was always bringing with his first push, especially on that Belshire game where he caught Life when Life was making his mutas, and like he just didn't have enough Banelings, and suddenly everything's dead and it's GG, and it's like, whoa, that's a sharp little attack right there.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. Like you don't have enough Banelings, and the thing is, you have to like if you don't have enough Banelings, it's like everything melts right away, and the thing is, like Banelings are pretty costly on the gas side, so what are you supposed to make with your minerals? Obviously if you're going like for the Roach Bane strats, then that's a little bit easier to deal with that sort of composition, like a lot easier, like auto win easy. But like if you're going Ling Baneling Muta, if there's any leftovers after your Banelings, it's so fucking hard.
Yeah, I played a lot, and whenever I lose with it, I feel like Zergs always try to engage it, kind of like how they engage mines, and I feel like they should engage it totally different because mines they try to disable and then they just kind of attack into it. I feel like against Hellbats, number one you need a heavier Baneling composition. That's pretty given, but I feel like doing a pincer attack is a lot stronger against Hellbats because if you just come in at one angle, that's kind of what they want because like the Hellbats just take the brunt of the damage. But if you're doing like a pincer attack, it's a lot more effective against that composition. And like especially on that Belshire game, Life just came in like all from one side, and everything evaporated immediately. So
that actually makes a lot of sense. Like when you picture the pincer attack, and it's not something that everyone thinks of right away. So I think that like like if I see a Hellbat build like that, then I'll definitely try to do that from now on and try and see how it works. But it's not something that since it's not a common build, it's not something that even a player like Life can connect right away and be like, oh, this is how I need to approach this.
Yeah, that's mostly how I lose. I don't think it's like the strongest composition once it starts getting figured out, but that's typically how I lose to it, like if I'm doing that style.
The other thing is it's much simpler than Widow Mines. Like there's quite a bit of a control battle back and forth between Widow Mines and Mutiling Baneling, but with Hellbats it's more just like Zerg knowing what composition and being able to get enough Banelings and Mutas, enough gas units to actually fight it, and then like how they engage. There's no amount of control that makes Zerglings good against Hellbats. So
yeah, I just put everything in one hotkey.
Yeah.
You can run him away.
Greg.
I mean,
you can beat Hellbat with 4 lings. Didn't you know?
you need to kite the ling. You have to run the ling away that the Hellbat's going to attack Greg before he does the attack, of course, or the ling is already dead. But
yeah. To touch on that last thought, I think that's a really good way to show why it's it plays really well, right? Like Life has all the mechanics in the world. Show is a pretty smart player, so perhaps like that was a perfect playstyle against Life, you know, because it's like I don't care how much you can split, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit how many mines you can dodge, bitch.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. It's I do have to say it feels good to have both Select and Show return, because like the Terran scene for the foreigners felt a little bit empty for a little bit there. Like they were actually, I didn't realize what a big piece they were. Where it's like as soon as they leave, I'm like, oh, you know what Terran lines do we have now? We do have some that are quite good, of course, but I don't know. It's good to have them back, man, because it's nice to see a foreigner actually do well at some of these events as well.
It's okay. We have Ghosty Terran coming back now.
Who? Oh,
Ghosty Terran.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
Yeah, I'm really happy for Show. Both Select and Show are good friends, and like I know Select left because like they both basically left because they felt like they weren't gonna be able to compete at the highest level anymore. And it always made sense for Show because he never had the like mechanics, to be honest. Like he was one of the lowest APM players around, and he did really well in the beta of Wings of Liberty, like amazingly well, because again he's a really smart player. He has really good strategies, and that kind of carried him. And now in Heart of the Swarm, I guess it like Terran fits him a little bit better. Is it fair to say there's less stuff to do, or at least it's easier to play Terran than it was in Wings, mechanically speaking?
That's probably the best question for Theognis.
I don't know. I think it's a little bit harder, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it's mechanically easier. I think it's just like the compositions are just, you know, they match up better against Zerg and stuff. I actually heard that. I think I heard that like Select and Show both left just because of TPZ and Wings of Liberty. You know, like don't quote me on that, but that's what I heard.
I think Select did. I'm not so sure about Show.
Yeah, like for example, like Hellbat drops. You don't need a lot of control. You need to drop him, and that's it, right? Like it's, and the Zerg has to do so much to deal with this sort of things. It's kind of like the opposite, where like of Wings of Liberty. I said something like this before.
I think Terran. Oh.
The Widow Mines, you burrow them, right? And the Zerg has to do all the micro around it. So I think there's a lot more to do for Zerg now than there is for Terran. So
I think there are certainly styles Terran can play that are easier and yet can still be effective. Like we were talking about the Hellbat composition. Like you actually just basically attack move it. Like there are situations you have to avoid, but in reality, it's very simple to do. But then the other things, like even with Widow Mines, you kind of just burrow them, but it's a lot about positioning, and all the targeting stuff we talked about before might come into play, and you have to control your units atop and around them to make sure that they're not going to be used against you. So it's not necessarily easy mode, but there are certainly Terran strategies that are easy mode, and you know a smart Terran player will take advantage of those and get his free wins every once in a while.
Yeah, and I mean positioning doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be super fucking fast or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess a lot of the setup happens before the madness of the battle. But you know, if that's part of it, you know, he felt that was hard and it's a little bit better for him here. You know, I guess he has more strategic options and he can actually choose ones that fit his playstyle and his APM and stuff like that, which is important and good.
Just to be clear on that, Show did get a lot faster. He went to Korea. He got faster. His marine splits were great towards the end of Wings, and again, he's one of the smartest Terran players I've ever known. So I'm really happy that he's back and that he did so well. Definitely.
He looks smart, by the way.
Yeah.
Just something totally off the side, like when you said Sulky looks like a monkey. Show just looks smart. Man. I look at him and I'm like, that's a smart guy, for sure. He's got intelligent eyes behind those intelligent looking glasses. Right.
Yeah, he has really smart builds and really solid decision making. But yeah, I actually played him today. He had like 120 APM, so it's definitely an improvement.
I was
So.
getting He's so mean. What's your APM at nowadays, Theognis?
Yeah, I don't even know.
They
They
I don't know,
patch
500, 600, 700?
They patch it every week, so I don't even know. It's like,
oh god, do they?
Confusing.
That's true. 120 might actually be like 400 in the old standards. We don't know.
Yeah.
I wish they would just fucking put it to what it actually is, which is actions per minute. That would be so nice. That's such an impressive stat for me to call out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking about smart foreigners, TLO doing pretty kick-ass at this event as well. Especially, he took out Squirtle, which was really impressive. And, TLO, he's one of the guys that I think thinks about the game, thinks about how to train more than most, right? And I have to say, from his games and whatnot, especially, well, what I watched from TLO was his games against Squirtle. And he was, like, really smart with some of his play. Like the Baneling landmines on Belshire. I feel like, thing is, he knows he's at a deficit in some ways. He lives in Europe. There's not a gigantic German or English-speaking scene that is going to be as helpful as talking to a bunch of Korean teammates in Korean. But he's, like, designing things that can kill them anyways. What do you guys think about that and your projected longevity of TLO?
Well, I think the biggest thing is actually just all the work he's put into designing his training regime and all of that side of things, because he's always been the kind of player who will try anything, like anything at all. Mm-hmm. And now that he has this training regime, he's both developing better mechanics than he used to have, which is, of course, important, but he also has just the time to go through and test all these weird ideas he has. And so then he ends up taking out, he's not... It used to be like for every genius thing we'd see him do some really dumb thing. You'd be like, oh, that was cute, but it failed miserably. Now he doesn't really do that so much anymore because he weeds all those out with this really intense practice regime that he does going. And like you said, he just thinks about the game so much. And so now that he's actually like getting to apply everything, it sounds weird because he's been around for a long, long time. And he's been working really hard for a long time, but it definitely seems like he's stumbled upon some combination of creativity and hard work that's really paying off for him.
No.
Yeah, I think that combined with the fact that Heart of the Storm is still relatively new, it's kind of the same story with Show. They were both ridiculously good in Wings of Liberty, early in Wings of Liberty and like the beta and early on, and then they stopped being so good. I think that this is not the same kind of thing because, like, for example, like Greg said, like TLO has fixed a lot of the things that, like, he was not strong mechanically in Wings of Liberty, and now he's got pretty damn respectable mechanics, and he weeds out all of those potentially bad strategies and stuff like that. I think as long as he keeps playing his own game, and I'm sure that he will, he'll continue to do good. He's been really consistent in the last few months, and I don't think he's going anywhere for a while.
Yeah, I feel like his mentality's gotten a lot better as well. He's even said in interviews because he's like hired a full-time life coach from what I heard, so that might be playing a role too while he's playing a lot better.
I think based upon what I was watching there, because it's becoming harder and harder for foreigners to do well against Koreans, and the Korean with Kespa in the ranks and everything, the way that they're practicing and just the power behind like their mechanics and their joint collective of brains figuring everything out and figuring out the metagames and like the webs that they have where all the teams are kind of connected through like a couple, like there's so much evolution going on over here. I actually think that we're probably going to consider TLO in about a year the best foreigner, just because I think he's going to be one of the only people that his mechanics will keep getting better and better. Will they ever be top Korean level? No. I don't think so. I don't think any foreigner is really going to hit that. But the way that he's planning some of these matches is getting smarter and smarter and smarter. And I think that, eventually in StarCraft 1, man, like we couldn't even take a game off the best Koreans. Like not even a single game most of the time, right? It would be like a 4th tier Korean and, White Raw would kill one. And it's like, holy shit, this is great. But, it became that way where it's like, well, I mean, I'm sorry, Greg, as many times as you play Flash on stage, you're never going to beat him, no matter how long you're in Korea. But the way that TLO is going about planning his matches is really, it has me excited about the possibility of having Koreans take it down. But yeah, I don't know. That's my thought.
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's possible, but saying he's going to be the best in the year, the only qualm I have with that is that he has been to Korea multiple times, and it doesn't really seem to, like, that's not where he has thrived. That he just doesn't really take to the Korean practice for whatever reason. Maybe it was the environments he was in. Maybe it would be better somewhere else. But my only thought is maybe we're going to have someone like a Gosi Terran or whatever who has the dedication to go over and practice hardcore within a Korean environment and actually takes to that better and can develop the Korean mechanics, plus has a good mind for the game. And I mean, that's a lot of ifs, but I don't think that's beyond possibility, because there are a lot of teams, not as many as there were early on, but there are quite a few teams who are willing to send over foreigners, and Kespa and the ESF both recognize the value of the foreign viewership. So if there's a non-Korean player who really wants to go give it a try and has the talent to make it worthwhile, they have that opportunity much more so now than they did in Brood War. So I could see someone going over there and actually becoming a rival to the Koreans if we get the right combination of talent and hard work. If we had like Stefano plus Gosi Terran, there's no reason he couldn't win a Star League.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a pretty good point. It's definitely one that can be argued. I don't know, because I see that, I'm like, yeah, they become really good mechanically and stuff. And actually, this reminds me a lot of you, Greg, because you were like one of the most talented, hardest working Terran players. You went to Korea for years and became godly compared to all the other foreigners. But, you know, still that was quite a far shot up to Flash, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, we'll see, because I mean, obviously, Gosi Terran is, or Juan, or whatever we are calling Princess now.
Cute angel.
You know, he's been over here a long time. I'm sure his mechanics are always going to be better than TLO's. I'm guessing he's just always going to be up there mechanically as one of the very best. But can a player that has that type of dedication to just grind out mechanics like that, are they ever going to get on a practice regimen, a healthy mindset like TLO, and figure out these little tricks that he's using, such as that third base, which, by the way, I want to talk about on Belshare? Catz, you were talking about that a little bit to me earlier.
Yeah, I was trying to. I cast
kind of like a veered thought for me, but I actually, before I forget, he took his third base. He was the top left in Belshire, and he took his third base as that raised one below his main, like Terrans do against Artosis. Yeah. What do you think about that, Catz? Because I was like, huh, this is interesting.
Well, like, I was trying to figure it out, and then I figured it out during the cast with Axeltos, because I casted one of TLO's games where he did this. I think it was against Harmston. And then it didn't make sense, and we were trying to make sense of it. And then eventually it was like, oh, you know, that helps this as well. And we were trying to find these little things, but I thought I figured out, like, why, like, sometime in the middle of the cast, but I don't remember. So if anyone watched it.
Wow.
Was he going Swarm Host?
That would be a good reason, but no, I don't think he was that game.
If he wasn't going Swarm Host, I don't understand it.
He was basically on
Ling Bane, right?
Yeah.
It's like Ling Bane.
Like super aggressive Ling Bane?
Like to siege. I see where you're getting at, but I mean, yeah, because Harmston took the normal third as well. So I thought, okay, TLO has to be just aggressive with this and kind of just rally units from there. Or Stormhost would have been fantastic, but then again, Stormhosts are not great on Belshare that stage all that much. I don't know. I don't remember too well why.
It might be. He's always been so big on like getting your creep out on the map aggressively.
I remembered. Okay, so I think one of the reasons. So I think one of the good reasons to take that base, is that the watchtower basically let him see any there would be no sneak attacks on the third with like it would be much harder. That's a good
point right there. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, that's sexy. I like that.
Isn't there blind spots on the left side though, like where the fourth is?
Yeah, but those are easy to cover relatively. Like you have the watchtower where you don't have a watchtower on the other side at all.
But if he had burrow, then it's really easy to scout. Just like put a burrowing along the blind spots on whatever path you're expanding on.
Or an overlord, yeah.
But you know, there's on Belshire like that. If let's say your top left, that top right third that you normally take as Zerg, like it's hard to, if they have any presence on the map, the Protoss, it's really hard to have checked every pylon location. Like, a lot of times you'll see just some Zealots walk in and fuck that base up. Whereas I kind of like what you're saying there, Catz, about that. And they pointed out during the game, I forget who was casting that one, but they pointed out that just from the scout timing that third was checked or whatever, there looked like no third. And you see speedlings on the map, so automatically you're kind of a little bit more defensive as Protoss, which is kind of a cute little bonus that it can happen, but...
Yeah, that's like the first thing that pops into your mind, right? Like that, and then right away I thought, okay, maybe he's gonna do something really aggressive, or maybe he's gonna go into swarm hosts, or something along those lines. But overall, I think just for the Watchtower, it wasn't the worst thing. It's not like it's a super awkward third. It's slightly more awkward. Perhaps.
Yeah. And, I mean, you do have ramps as well, so you're actually going to defend attacks into there. If your army can get over there, you can defend attacks into there a little bit easier, I guess.
And Ling Bane is super mobile, so that makes sense. My thought is that he takes that base to start the creep spread down towards Hearthstone's natural 4th base. So, assuming he doesn't want to deal with the creep, he has to take the 4th that's way away from his 3rd. And Ling Bane's super mobile, so... He just goes into whichever one the army isn't. Yeah.
Wait, I have a question though. Like
summarizing, I think we can find a lot of reasons for which that third is perfectly acceptable.
Thank you, Catz. Well said, sir. All right,
did you just high five your camera?
You know what would have been the best right there is as his camera accidentally goes down, we find out he just doesn't wear pants during meta.
That's why he's so excited.
I
have a question though. Like, when you take that third, isn't it closer to the Protoss' natural? So wouldn't it be easier to 2-base all in?
Yeah,
like, so,
that's why.
Like, what if you?
That's why we're trying to figure out why you did it.
Oh yeah. Like the mortal all in, that'd be really strong. Positions.
Well, yes and no. Like because there's 2 ramps. So and I think it's a little bit wider of a ramp than the other third. So
yeah.
I mean, there's the distance thing, but there's also the slightly wider ramp, which makes it a little bit.
Your army can actually get around infinitely easier. It's like almost like open ground in certain ways because you have the top of the ramp and they can force you that. But if you look at the other third base, like to run your army then around takes so long it doesn't even make sense. You'd never do it. But right there, I mean, you just run down the other ramp and go straight down, and you're there in 2 seconds. So there's actually I guess if you're going for like a Ling Bane type of composition, this is actually kind of neat. I kind of like that.
Or swarm hosts, or a timing attack.
Huh. Well, there's several, but I don't like swarm hosts that early, and I don't like timing attacks. So the Ling Bane one is what I'm going with, and why I like it.
Okay. I dig it.
All right, you dig it. Okay, does anyone have any closing thoughts or ideas or strategies you want to talk about from Dreamhack before jumping to our next thing?
No.
No? Nobody? Nothing? All right, cool. We're going to jump to a really quick little commercial break, guys, and when we come back, we will go into our next subject, which is going to be about WCS Korea Season 2. So don't go anywhere.
Pros always want to have gear that's exactly fitted to their needs.
Something I've always dreamed about doing is using my experience as a gamer to make gear for people like me.
We're working with TT Esports to make the exact mouse, keyboard, and headset that we've always wanted to use.
When you're doing anything that you love to do, the tools that you're using matter the most.
We're designing these products from scratch to make sure that your gaming experience is completely seamless. The gear I use to play the game
are the tools I use to win.
Welcome back to Meta, where all of our bladders are now empty and we're ready to talk more about some StarCraft 2. The WCS Korea Season 2 Star League, aka OSL, has just started. And, there's been a lot of people screaming and crying and whining about the best of one format. And I think any pro gamer agrees they don't want best of ones. But let's dodge away from that discussion because that is not actually constructive and that is not as much about StarCraft as what I want to talk about, which is how does having the best of one format for this first group stage, how does this change what strategies are reasonable, the way to practice for it, how to prepare for opponents of different levels and different styles? I just want to hear everyone's ideas about everything having to do with this, because it's quality games. It's just, it's different. Go.
Okay. Well, I think you and Nick pretty much talked about it, and during the cast, and I mostly agree with that. It's just you gotta prepare for you gotta prepare one you gotta win once. You know, that's about it. You don't have to best your opponent in best of 3. Like it's like having 3 times as not 3 times as much time to prepare, but it's a little bit more time to prepare for one match and one map as opposed to 3, which a lot of people don't even get to do. You know, like for example, if it's a best of 7, best of 9, you maybe don't have a strat for every map. Where here you're going in with a plan, and I think if you don't have a plan going into a best of 1, then you're.
Who are you? Why are you in this best of 1?
Yeah.
How the hell did you get here?
So there might be a little bit more luck involved. I don't know. It's rough.
It is rough. It is rough.
I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen like some more cheeses. I know we've seen some wonky stuff from Savage and stuff, but you know, I would definitely expect some more cheeses. You know, it's just one game, why not? You know, you don't even need to like prepare your super standard macro game, I feel. You know, if I was going into it, I would probably prepare something to just kind of take control of the game, you know, something that they would have to adapt to, not really like a reactive style, because you know, it's only a best of 1.
So would your opponent?
Yeah. So it, you know, clash in the center. Why not?
Yeah, I was actually about to say that it might be like reverse mind games. All of the lesser players are expecting, like, you figure you're Savage playing against Innovation. This is a bad example because he actually did cheese, but you're Savage against Innovation. You figure, okay, he's going to be playing super safe. He knows that he's better than me, and he knows that there's a pretty good chance I'm going to cheese. So maybe I just sit back and play super greedy or play very map control, late game oriented kind of play. Because like these are all pro gamers. Like if you give them enough of a macro advantage, they should be able to beat even people like Innovation and Flash and stuff. In theory, in practice, it's not always true. But so you get a lot more mind games both ways. Like the obvious answer to best of 1 against someone better than you is cheese, but the real answer is just mind games. Like how well you prepare for a match, how well you outthink your opponent, and to some extent just who gets lucky. But there's a huge difference. Like you can go back all the way back through Brood War. The difference between like a Pro League hero and someone who could actually win the Star Leagues. There were plenty of people who were just almost unbeatable in Pro League, but couldn't do anything in a Star League. And lots of good Star League players started out as Pro League heroes. Like Dongrigu, back before he was ever anything in the GSL, he was all killing like top teams in the GSTL. So there's a big difference between series play. We said we're not gonna have that discussion, but I really don't like it. It's just less competitive integrity, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I disagree that Savage cheesed. Was a perfectly standard.
Well, I guess we do have
build.
We have to get into that. So for any of you that did not watch, by the way, check it out on gomtv.net or WCS_GSL. Nick and I are casting all the Premier League for them, so it's pretty fun anyways. But so Innovation played against Savage, best of 1 Belcher Vestige. I would like to point out that one guy commentating him did say before, when Tasus asked him what he should do to try to win, I said I think his best shot is going to be offensive hatchery, and then he did it, and I felt smart. But Catz,
one guy on the show invented the strategy.
And I can't deny my friendship with you has made me think down these lines a bit.
Wait, let me say something. I also invented the counter strategy. I released that tutorial, man. No, it works, man.
What is it?
I posted a tutorial on Reddit. I'm not sure if you guys seen it, but it's personally what I feel like is the best, because I played a bunch of practice games, like 20 or 30 of it, just against this shit. And I kind of mentioned it before, but it was like, you know, you bunker the low ground. Basically, you just try to snipe the first tumor, kind of like what Innovation did, and then go into a tank and then into a Raven. I know it sounds retarded, but it actually is pretty good because you don't have to, you know, you saw Innovation. He had to spend like 2 or 3 scans just to clear the creep.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of that on the ladder. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, I do the proxy hatch every time I see a CC on the high ground, and I've seen your response a lot. I think it's good, but I think you still go out of it with a deficit. I actually played Bomber today in the RSL, and he did CC on the high ground twice, and I won one and I lost one. The one that I won, he went for the standard factory, whatever, and then he got a tank. He didn't get a Raven, but yeah, like I got a huge lead off of that. Just kept his expansion there, and then the other game, he canceled his gas. From watching the replay, he canceled his gas, dropped the second racks, and he pulled SCVs to kill my hatch. Now, so the queen didn't pop out even. Now this is a good response, but I think it still puts you at a deficit if the Zerg player doesn't make the links. Since I was going up against Bomber, I was like, okay, I'm going for it. I don't want a small lead. I'm not. Yeah. So yeah, I ended up losing that game, but you can scout for that and account for it. I think it's a really reactive strat. And I think Savage did it well. He did like a version where he doesn't really commit too much to making sure that he gets the hatch down. He was sloppy with the creep tumor. He didn't protect the queen with the lings. The spines were both late and useless. He never repositioned them, and he didn't delay innovation as much as he could have. But it still worked out pretty well, and he got a pretty good lead over it.
I would say he had a lead after it.
Oh yeah.
Even though those 3 spines really were kind of lackluster there, and as you said, the creep tumor, losing that queen that could have had transfusions and stuff, like could have even laid more creep tumors. That was all a bit sad, but
well, it was actually so sloppy. He like very easily could have, should have, would have lost the queen before even getting down a tumor because he dropped the one, the Marines ran out and killed it, and then he actually let the queen go back and rage to the bunker, and he got it down to like red health.
Yeah.
Like if Bogus had been paying attention, he would have just lost it there, and the entire strategy would have been pretty much a wash. Yeah. But I'd like to say I also invented a counter to it because I was playing Terran on ladder the other day, and someone did it to me, and I didn't scout it and get a bunker down or anything. So then I made Hellbats and dropped him in his main, and then I won.
Oh, so, you know what? That sounds actually. Theognis, you better make a YouTube video about that, man. That sounds actually like a pretty good counter to it. Like
I've actually seen your counter on the ladder too. And what's funny is I saw it after you told me about it. Like a bunch of people tried it, but it no.
Yeah, but you actually don't win the game off of it, do you? Like you still can't take your natural. I mean,
well, I mean,
that game, I just killed like all his drones and then cleared the natural and then went on to beat him.
So he messages
me on Skype. He's like, I just make Hellbats about yours.
I do have to ask, what server are you doing that on, Greg? Where you actually have to kill all his drones before you clear your natural?
That would be North America.
Okay, I was just checking because it doesn't sound like necessarily the counter to this strategy. So so this, wait a minute, this hatch block, it was pretty good, man. How did, like, Innovation actually came back, which was really weird because I'm like, I think actually Savage should be able to win this because he was in such a good spot, but over time, I guess, once 3-3 was done and Savage just stayed on layer tech, and eventually Innovation's like, well, I am Innovation, and even though this is best of one, everyone's mad about it, I still, like, that's a pretty impressive comeback in that best of one.
Yeah, it was pretty much one supply at a time. It was like, barely cost-efficient trade after barely cost-efficient trade after barely cost-efficient trade after barely, until he was caught up in supply. But Savage did have a 30 supply lead or something for a while.
Yeah. And he got the third CC down to like deep red, like literally 1 or 2 Baneling hits from dying, I think it was. Yeah. If he had got that, he wins that game for sure. Yeah. Poor Savage. So this Savage world up there. But okay, so you guys watch the other games as well? I
watched the first group, the one with
with Yu-Gi-Oh.
Chia Girl.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. The Baneling thing going through. You think that strategy that Sulky did against Yu-Gi-Oh, the mutas straight into Swarmhost, you think that's just not good, Catz?
I think it's okay. I don't know. I don't know if you wanna just let your Swarmhost sit there though. Like he did a really good job of poking with the Swarmhost and at first, but then he kind of just sat there. I think if you're gonna just sit there, you need infestors with it as well. So that even if they break through a wall, then you can fungal and run away, or even get a second wave before you run away.
Fungal's pretty good against Banelings too.
Oh yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Fantastic.
But there's a lot of complaints about best of one and all that. But if you look at the players that already advanced, first group Flash and Sulky, exactly what you would think. Second group was it was Innovation and then Byung. And this is Korea, so Terrans are supposed to advance. And actually, the truth of the matter is, before it started, I actually thought Byung had a pretty good chance because flying is flying, guys. Like, this guy, he's great for the best of one format, but also, like, he's flying, so he can, he moves anyway.
You can't be consistent as flying. He could have won any group or lost any group.
Yeah. That's what happens when you have all your own strategies that no one else uses for a reason. It's true. It's true. You're dangerous, but it's a double-edged sword. It's you never know what's going to happen with that. I just linked you guys to the groups in our chat. I'll actually link the chat as well. And let's take a look at those real quick, because tonight we actually have Group C and D going up, which is pretty sick. But let's just look at this. I want all you guys to actually consider that this is best of one, consider their styles and all that stuff. And let's try to figure out, sift through this madness real quick. What do you guys think for tonight, Group C and D?
I really hope Effort. I'm still an Effort fanboy from back in Breed War. Yeah.
He's playing well.
Good. Yeah,
he is really good.
Yeah, he's the ace on CJ now, isn't he?
Yeah,
he
was last week.
Well. Okay.
He was last week, so
yeah.
Or last play day, whenever that was. So yeah, I think he's definitely. It's a tough one to call. Sue. However you say his name.
Sue.
I think Sue suffices.
Yeah, I think Sue is fine, Catz.
Okay, I see more O's in there. But
I see more O's.
But yeah, like he was doing so well at the start of Heart of the Storm and just Kespa switching over, but he's been pretty bad as of late. Results-wise, he hasn't been doing well in Pro League. I think he's the least likely to advance. And I think SOS is probably going to advance from that group. But as good as Effort is, Maru is really good as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know who's going to take that, but I think that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, I was... Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to ask, are these in order of the first matches? Like, it's an SOS versus Effort and then Sue versus Maru?
If you click show, it's SOS, yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sucks then, because I think SOS and Effort should go through, but if Effort drops and has to play Maru, a lot of it's going to depend on the order that they all
Sue is cheesy as hell, man. I think Sue's style doesn't match up terribly against Effort's, because he's, like, pretty aggressive. So, like, Ling Baneling Wars, anything can happen there.
Yeah, I don't know. I go ahead.
No, yeah, I think Effort's gonna beat Sue for sure. But I think SOS is gonna beat Effort, then Maru's gonna beat Sue, and then what happens? Oh, I don't know who wins. I guess SOS beats Maru, and then Effort beats Sue, and then Maru against Effort should determine who advances.
Yeah, just looking at the group, I would probably say Effort and SOS, but taking in consideration it's best of one, I would definitely probably put Maru in there. He hasn't done the greatest in GSL, I think, but he's actually a pretty volatile player. He does like some pretty crazy builds. He's really aggressive, so that might a best of one definitely I think could suit his playstyle.
Yeah, The last games I saw from him against Zerg, he was going, well, like, not counting GSTL, I guess, he was going, like, Hellbat drops into mech pushes, like, really quick ones.
Yeah.
I think Maru is
That
actually
sounds
going to
good.
come out of this group. Like,
As soon as you said
Yeah.
Hellbat drops, now I think Maru's definitely gonna make it.
can we change our bets, please? Maru is coming out of this group for sure.
Does he make Hellbats?
He was doing like the reactor expand against Zerg, like reactor factory expand into like
Oh, I remember
really-
those games.
yeah.
That was the really long TVZ on Akalon, wasn't it? That he ended up
Yeah,
losing
yeah.
to Sulky.
And then he
Sulky-
played on, like, Red City and did, like, a
Yeah.
quick mech push.
Maybe. Yeah, Maru has actually always, I feel, been kind of underrated. And, like, he
Yeah.
always those good games every once in a while, but then he just hits a stumbling block and doesn't go on. And then everyone just writes him off as this talented youngster who's not going to win anyway. So I don't know. I think he's really young, isn't he? He's like 16 or something.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
really
he's
young.
Yeah.
Youngster.
No, I'm not just being condescending. He is actually young. Best of one plus the GOM group format makes this so hard to predict. I would say SOS and Effort are definitely the most talented players, but Maru is good enough and Sue is cheesy enough. Anyone could come out. But I'd say SOS first and Effort second if I had to.
Okay. So SOS Effort, and then Catz, what was your prediction? Were you going to change it for reals?
I guess SOS Maru.
All right. Theognis?
Yeah, I was gonna say SOS effort, but since it's best of one, I'm gonna put effort Maru.
Yeah. Due to best of one, I'm going Effort Maru also. I'm feeling that. All right, how about Group D? This best of ones, man. I see Shine and Curious just looking at me with their aggressive craziness, and then actually I'm like, oh wait, Trap is exactly the same. Good luck, Symbol, getting out of this group.
Symbol can be exactly the same too. He was like the pioneer
That's
of the
true.
Road Spain all-in phase a month ago. So
He
yeah,
did what he had to do, though. That's a macro Zerg that did what he had to do. Okay, that's actually the difference between him and Shine.
but
Okay,
it's a
because
macro Zerg
Shine.
who can
Huh?
do what he has to do. A macro Zerg who can do what he has to do. There's Zergs who can't just do stuff like that.
I actually have a really quick question for you, Greg. Completely aside from all this, is Shine the Zerg, the pro Zerg you hate the most in the whole world?
He's up there. He was like the epitome of shitty two-hatch Mutazergs in Brood War.
Yeah, and
Like,
now in
never-
StarCraft 2, he's like. The thing is, he's good, so he doesn't win because he's bad, but the decisions he makes are the same that I would call someone on the ladder bad for. You know what I mean? I'm like,
I
well,
don't
I have
know,
5 Void Rays. Why'd you just make 20 Roaches? Huh? What are you doing with those? You know?
Honestly, I haven't seen him play in StarCraft 2, but in StarCraft 1, he was definitely one of.
Oh, you're gonna love it. You're gonna
one
love
of
it.
the
He's exactly similar.
Three-hatch
Did he
Hydra
win
and
Innovation?
two-hatch.
Did he win Innovation like last Pro League round?
He did.
I think so.
Did he?
I think so. Let me.
They had like no wait. Shine had a sick game. Oh wait, no, that was a Bisu game. I'm thinking of Shine Bisu.
Innovation lost to a mid-tier Zerg, but I think it was like Saxry or something.
Oh, what did he? That's
Maybe.
weird.
It was just like a random one-off loss. Maybe it was against Shine that I'm thinking of.
I think it was Shine. I was hoping
Oh.
chat would confirm, but yeah.
They're too busy talking about Hodor.
Why is everyone talking about Hodor lately? By the way,
I don't know.
What
It's
is
like
that?
I
I
saw,
don't even know
I
what
saw
it
it
is.
Dreamhack because
Game
I,
of Thrones.
I didn't watch
I
it
think
live.
it's because Hodor was saying Hodor to the well, and it was
Yeah.
like, yeah. It was like,
Yeah, that was really
Hodor,
funny.
Hodor, Hodor. I don't know.
That's so funny. All right, so who advances from this group? This is a pretty difficult one.
It's a
Gotta
total
say-
clusterfuck.
Symbol and
It
Shine.
is. Symbol and Shine. Okay.
I don't even know how like these players even play, so I'm just gonna guess Symbol and
Curious takes both spots. Okay.
Yeah, why not?
Greg.
No, Curious is like the original never loses before the round of 8, but then always loses in the round of 8 player. So I'll say Symbol.
No,
and
he
Curious.
always lost in round of 16,
Oh, round of 16.
and
Okay,
then
well,
he started losing in the round of 8.
okay.
he's
Well, never
probably-
never lost in groups, but never actually made it deep. So I'll say Symbol and Curious.
Someone curious. I'm actually going Symbol Trap. Trap is going to do a bunch of 2-base timings that are sharp as fuck, and it's best of 1, so he's going to get right through there. And then Symbol is just going to outplay barely. Barely. All right. Let's
well,
go.
that is true. Trap only has to. I guess Trap only has to practice one matchup too. So
Yeah.
That helps.
You should just do some Colossus pushes every game, man. You can win 2 out of 3 games against these Zergs just doing like 2 base all in stuff. Like he can get 2 forges or not. It's up to him. All right, Group E, Kong Ho Jongbi Life Fantasy.
Are we going to?
Damn, girl, group of death in my opinion.
That's a group right there, right? That's pretty sick. I'm excited about next Tuesday.
Jesus, guacamole! This is so hard to call.
Isn't
I'm
it?
gonna call it right now. I feel like Jangbi's gonna win the entire thing. I'm a big Jangbi fan.
Season?
Yeah, I've been watching it, man.
You're a Jangbi fan?
Yeah,
You're a
Jangbi's
StarCraft
so
1
good
turn.
right
Did you see Jangbi versus Nada in that like round of 4? And you
the
don't
Storm one?
vomit when you read his name? That's disgusting, Theognis.
Are you talking about the Storm one?
No, I'm talking
master
about Nada's last stand at being good at StarCraft 1, where he played Godly. Jangbi's like, well, I'll proxy a Reaver. And he's just like, cheeses until Nada loses.
What year was that? I was probably not even watching.
I don't. Years just all blend together for me at this point, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, it's actually I really like Jangbi in StarCraft 2. I liked him in StarCraft 1, except for when he did that to Nada. That was unforgivable. But so you think Jongbi's going to take that group?
I think he's gonna take the whole season. I'm calling it right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you're not from TeamLiquid.net because you didn't say Flash is going to win. Who else is coming out of this group then? If Jongbi's going to win easy?
Normally I would say Life, but I'm not sure about the Dreamhack performance. I'm not sure. Maybe that was just that, but probably just Jangbi Life then. No. I am kind of a fantasy fan, but I don't think he's quite there yet. So.
I love Lucira. I would love to watch him advance, but I just don't think he will in this group. It's unfortunate. I think he would have a much better chance in pretty much every other group. But I think Jangbi and Fantasy are gonna make it out. Fantasy's been playing amazing.
Really?
I agree with you 100%. Jangbi Fantasy for sure.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say Jangbi Fantasy as well.
It's too
live
bad
stream.
because, yeah.
I was about to say live stream hack
Theognis
importance.
is
Yeah.
Theognis is weird.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a hater on fantasy. I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't been too impressed with.
You have higher standards for him because you actually play high-level Terran all day. We only get to watch it, so... Well, I guess Greg found out he sucks at Terran, and Terran's hard now, so...
I didn't say Terran was hard.
He knows how talented Fantasy must still be. All right. Yeah. Group F, Roro, First, Leenock, Hiva. Ooh, that one's actually really hard to predict.
Oh, I thought you said Roro first. I was like, yeah.
That seems like a good call.
Roro first, Leenock second. That's my predictions.
I think I don't quite get it, but okay. What do you guys think?
Roro wins for sure, I hope. If he doesn't win, it's because of best of one. But being against Leenock and Hiva in best of ones, there's a pretty good chance he won't. But odds on, I would say him. I don't know about second. I haven't seen First play in forever. I'm actually really surprised he's in this.
First is like solid as hell.
I have heard he's the best Protoss in the IM house.
Which would be weird because it has MC, Squirtle, Younghua,
and Seed. Yeah.
And Seed, yeah. Well, no, Seed left. He's in FXO now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's still a pretty good Protoss lineup to be the top of. But
yeah.
So that's the kind of player, like, you never know when that's going to shine through on stage. And if it does, then I could see him winning. Because Leenock's CVP has always struck me as so fragile. But it works time and time again. So I guess more power to him. And then Hiva just seems super cheesy in every SC2 match I've seen of him.
Yes. Does he ever actually play a macro game? I haven't seen one from him yet.
That's so weird because he was so fucking talented in Brood War.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he just is like addicted to larva inject. He's like, oh, wait a minute, I can make this many lings? What? He's like, what? I would never lose in Brood War with this many lings.
I don't know, so I guess I'll say Roro, and then Hiva's going to cheese his way through with best of one.
Okay.
Has First played many games since Katowice? Or
I
IM?
haven't seen that many.
Is that word?
He played enough to get through, but...
The IM?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's how you say it. I was trying to be...
I have no idea.
Yeah. But yeah, I would probably say Leenock first, and then probably first, second. So. First, second, yeah. That sounds kind of
Who's
weird.
third? I don't know. This one for me is too hard because as you guys were saying, like first is really good, and we don't know if that's going to show up and do it. But like Roro's always pretty godly, and then Leenock is really, really strong early games EVZ. Then Hive is so cheesy, so I don't even really want to predict this one. I think I would do an injustice to my feelings about the group. All right, Group G.
What?
My prediction is absolutely any two players can come out of Group F. It is impossible to predict. And it could be one-sided too, and that doesn't mean I was wrong. But this is like I have insufficient information to properly predict with my regular degree of accuracy who will advance from this best of one group. There we go. That's
that
if I
regular
have
degree
to,
of accuracy, huh?
I'll go Roro Hiva. All right. Anyways,
I think Leenock, of one, Leenock has to advance. It's gonna be like you can't be prepared for Leenock in a best of one. It's like even if you expect him to be aggressive, you have to be like, what if he's not? No, he will be aggressive, and you won't be able to keep up. You won't.
You know, I think Hive is going to be even more aggressive. So then what happens? What happens when the most aggressive player meets the most cheesy aggressive player? I don't know. That's why I don't want to predict. This group's killing me. Another group that's killing me, Group G, with 3 of the greatest Protosses in the whole wide world in it. Parting, Younghwa, Squirtle, Supernova. I think he's dead. He's not fucking coming out of this group, guys. Bye, Supernova. Sorry, buddy.
See you, Supernova.
No, he can't. Theognis, can he make it out of that group?
I don't know. His TVP did look kind of strong. I think the last TVP I saw of him was against Creator, but I'm not sure if that was just Creator playing bad. I don't know. He hasn't really found his stride, and so yeah. I don't know. He has a really harassive style. It's really aggressive, so I think he could maybe like squeeze out second, but I'm feeling the Protosses on this one for sure.
Yeah. Here's the question: who's advancing with Parting? Because I doubt any of you guys would doubt Parting here. That would be really weird of you. We probably
Parting and Younghwa. Squirtle could win a Star League. I would still believe that he's bad. I will never accept that. I remember him from the beta. He can never be a skilled player in my eyes. It's going to be Parting and Younghwa.
I love it.
I'm gonna say Parting and Squirtle just because Squirtle plays Supernova, so I think he has.
That does help, yeah.
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 I guess I'll just go with Younghwa.
Parting and Younghwa.
No reasoning behind it.
Yeah. I think probably Parting and Younghwa, but if Squirtle made it out, I wouldn't be surprised just because he does get that Terran game first, and he's solid against like aggressive play like Supernova, so I think Supernova doesn't have much of a chance against Squirtle, which again adds why I don't think he's going to get out. All right, last but not quite least, Bomber, Hurricane, Rain, and Keen.
Who's Hurricane?
Damn, girl.
Keen
That's
is
Tier.
Tier.
Oh, Tier, okay.
Yeah, FXO Tier.
Oh, I remember. While I was there, he was cheesy as shit, but the FXO coaches were hyping him up as like the next big thing.
He's pretty fucking good.
Although, to be fair, the FXO coach is Choya, so...
Well played.
Grain of salt with that one.
I don't know if you planned that before going into that, but that was beautiful.
I did not. It actually just clicked. Oh, wait, that was Choya who said that.
Well, I've heard it from Leenock too. Like Leenock told me when I asked him who's the best Protoss player. This was IPL 4 or 5, the last IPL. He was like, he said that he thought Tier was the best player in the world, and I thought he was joking. And he was like, no, really, he beats me like almost every time, and like he's really good. And then Grubby sometime released the rankings of FXO, and Tier was first. So
Sick.
Yeah.
He's definitely really good. Rain is the one that's obviously advancing, and then I think it's between Hurricane and Keen, perhaps.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Because Keen is like he's pretty damn dangerous. Like he can pick up wins against absolutely anybody, especially best of one format. But Rain and probably Hurricane, but could be Keen. Poor Bomber. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised
No
if
Bomber
Keen
fans?
Rain even. Huh? No, Bomber beat me today, man.
Screw that
I'm
guy.
a Bomber fan. I think he'll get
Screw
through.
that
His-
guy.
You think I'll
Bomber
get through?
CVP yeah, Bomber CVP is one of his best. I feel like he's definitely has a pretty solid chance. That's definitely his best matchup. So
Hmm.
I'll probably say Rain and Bomber are
Alright.
my
That's
picks.
fair enough.
Well, Rain for sure, obviously, and then from what I know at tier style, he's very well suited towards best of ones. And if he's really that good, and he's just started getting into star leagues, maybe it's coming through. So I would say the two of them, particularly given best of ones against Terrans.
You know, I gotta say, I like our predictions because that means a lot of Protosses in the round of 16. So thank you guys for that. That's more build orders to steal. All right. Well, I mean, I think that's it. Do you guys have anything else as far as the show goes? No? Shall we? All right. Bunch of quiet nerds. Every time I ask you guys if you have everything, everyone's like, everyone holds their breath until I'm like, okay, I guess, I guess that's it.
It's because you just do such a good job of preparing. Like, we don't need to add anything to what you
Are
have.
we gonna go over HomeStory Club at all, or
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
true?
Actually, did they release the groups yet?
I'm not sure actually.
Here, let me check, because if they didn't, then it's like, well, we'll
this
jump
week,
in.
right?
Story Cup is
Yeah,
awesome.
it's my
Yeah.
like I love to watch it. One of
Yeah,
these
they released
days
the
I'm not
groups
going to be working during
around.
Home Story Cup, and I'm making it out there.
Also the Red Bull land. If you guys want to talk about that.
Here, I'll link the chat.
There's only
as
8 players,
well.
but
All right, so they actually did release the groups. Sick. I don't really want to go through and predict every group because we just predicted a ton of groups, and that's you spend all day predicting groups. But just taking a quick look at these groups, guys. Group of Death. What is the group of death for everyone?
We're all reading it. Chill.
Yeah, I'm reading it too right now. I haven't seen this yet.
they actually seem pretty even. I
Yeah,
don't
there's
see
nothing
it
that stands out.
Yeah, I don't think there's a super stacked group.
No, there's not. Huh. How about, okay, so instead of a group of death, how about two
This can't
groups
be
of
random. There's
two
like
groups of this is a pretty difficult group. What two groups are pretty difficult?
I guess Group A is pretty strong. Daishi has actually been doing surprisingly well recently.
He has, that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Goody will piss anyone off, and then Manon and Hyun are good.
Yeah, exactly. There's a dark horse in every group. It seems
Yeah, there is.
like it.
This
yeah,
does
like
seem
we're-
rigged. You know what? Take
Yeah,
the
it
calling
does
you out,
seem-
man. These groups are too good. These are too
Rigged.
solid.
I mean, like Goody is the obvious dark horse in A, then Fuser in B, Bunny in C, Targa in D, Panda Tank in E, State in F, Dragon in G, or Harmstim even. But Harmstim's been doing really well. And I guess Hendralisk in H.
Mm.
I would say, or Moro even. I guess H. I don't know.
No, you know what? There's not even two groups that stand out as like slightly harder than the other groups. This is actually the most balanced groups I've ever seen in a tournament, which is actually cool because that makes it from group stage 1 like a sick badass tournament. Because like the first stage of like a 3-group Dreamhack, I do not watch really. I watch like one match and I'm like, these groups I already know who's getting through. Like, there's never an upset. But here it's like, seriously, that's
We're gonna
that's
have
balanced.
people doing sick upsets or really sick second round groups.
Yeah. Second round is going to be pretty exciting, I guess.
Yeah.
Huh. All right, your pick to win. Everyone's pick to win.
Damn, girl.
See if you... Damn, girl. Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, I'm cray-cray.
I'm gonna go with Teja.
Say Seed versus Hyun in the finals, and Hyun wins.
Well, that's
I like
not bad.
Hyun.
I like that prediction. I like that.
I don't think it's super likely, but I like Hyun. I would like him to win.
I don't even see a clear favorite that I can really point
That's
out.
pretty
I would say
hard, right?
probably Hyun, Teja, or I don't know. How's MC been playing? I haven't.
We
even
haven't
seen
gotten
him
to
in a while.
see him. Like, he made it into Premiere, but
Yeah,
like, there's no games right now. He's just been in Europe.
yeah. Guess I'll either go MC or Hyun.
Okay, I'll tell you
favorite.
my top 4. How about that? That's
Okay.
My top 4 is 6.
It's just too good of a tournament, guys. This is the way
Yeah.
it is.
It's like
actually
it's
so nice.
like outside the box top 4. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Oh,
my first 2 are gonna be Taeja and Hyun, and then TLO and Happy.
No.
Oh, that's good. That's pretty solid.
I dig it.
Happy's
Oh,
pretty sick.
Happy has the mechanics to carry him through like huge swaths of players, man. It doesn't matter how much you know exactly what he's going to do.
I don't know. That's always been the case, and it's never really carried him through, though.
It's starting to, though. He's having way better results.
Bro,
He's always #1 on the EU ladder.
chill, man. He's
For-
always
for as
one
that
game
goes.
away from winning series, like huge series. Kind of like Lucifron.
That's poor Lucifron.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to even predict like the top 2 here. I think Hyun is a really good choice, though. I think that's like a pretty solid choice here. The guy knows how to play against foreigners, and he's already in Europe, so there's no way he's going to be jet lagged and stuff.
The funny thing is,
MC, but MC's been outside of Korea so long. What's his level looking like? I don't know.
the funny thing is, I could actually see Hyun losing in groups, though. Like Goody is just so easy to lose to. Daishi apparently is doing something now, so he's not even a free win. And then Mana, like back when Stefano was winning everything, Mana was literally the only Protoss he lost to. He knows how to win PVZs no matter what. So I could easily see him not getting out of that group, but I could also see him winning the tournament.
Yeah. Oh, that is a sick tournament, man.
Yeah.
What day does that
Really
start?
lumpy, to be honest. Isn't it like tomorrow?
Does it? The first day is tomorrow? Oh yeah, no, I guess it is. Yeah, it's Thursday. We did this show one day later, so I was like, is this one that starts on Thursday or Friday? So.
Oh yeah, the first group actually starts in 7 hours.
7 hours.
All right.
Yeah.
Hours!
I'm getting chills. I'm so excited. That means
That's the best.
I get to
group.
come home from casting the WCS Korea Season 2 Star League. I have to say the whole thing. It's terrible. And then I get to watch that. That's pretty sick. StarCraft fans are lucky, man. We have so much good content. God damn.
We lucky, man.
Unless you live in North America, then it's all in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you guys should all live in Korea. I don't know what you're doing. It's better over here.
I just alter my sleep schedule, vampire style.
That's
how we do it.
Well, you have a lot of light coming through that window during the show, Theognis. So, like,
Oh yeah.
you're definitely not a vampire. You're the
Oh, no,
daywalker.
How are you
No,
doing?
it's dark
You're the
outside.
American Terran that may unite the clans.
It's artificial light. That's how I get my vitamin D. You know?
You like cut it out of like some fucking Antarctic station or something. All right. Well, I mean, I guess.
Let's go quickly over the Red Bull LAN.
Okay, link it. Link it. It's like 8 players. This should take us 2 seconds. Like, no, this is pretty balanced. All right, who knows? Let's get out of here.
On Koreans, it's Sound and Golden, I think.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 Koreans.
Sound, it was Sound for sure. I forget the other one.
Yeah.
Which is so random. I haven't heard of Sound. Huh?
I was just saying Golden. I wouldn't be surprised if that's him. He hits a lot of foreign stuff.
It's
Yeah,
just
Sound
all
hasn't-
Starfield members.
Mm.
Just
Well, that
'cause
makes
they're
sense,
my
too.
people, so.
Yeah.
Did anyone find the Red Bull thing? I'm trying to find it.
I'm looking for it.
Is this not on?
Chat.
Oh no, it wouldn't be Golden. It would be another StarTale member because that's who Red Bull sponsors. It's probably like
he's
Life
on-
or something.
Oh,
now.
makes sense.
Wait, no, but Golden's on StarTale now, right?
Oh, is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I finally
Okay.
got it.
I think that's it. Someone
Red
posted
players.
something.
StarCraft 2.
Oh.
This is like a news. What am I looking
Someone
at?
posted that.
Yeah, it's on news.
Someone help
That's-
us. We don't know what's going on.
That's right.
Okay,
So
I'll
like
tell
this.
you. Go ahead.
Alright,
Okay.
there we go.
Here we go. This is actually, here we go.
Okay, we
Okay.
found it.
Okay, so for Protoss, Puck and Grubby. For Terran, the Muslim select Sound. For Zerg, Kane, Vibe, Golden. Well, that's a pretty nice little lineup.
Yeah, I think it's like everyone can win against each other. There.
Yeah.
Maybe Sound is like I think Sound is pretty underrated. He might be the highest skill player here for sure.
Really?
I think
That
I-
I can't say anything much against that actually. That could be.
I haven't seen him play in forever, but I remember him being nothing special by Korean standards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
it wasn't.
I don't think I've seen him play since
Didn't
the
he-
HomeStory Cup he went to.
I think he all killed someone in GSTL, didn't they? didn't he?
It might have been NS Hoso though, so we can't really count that.
Oh yeah, I actually think it was.
I'm not sure, but I won like 5 games in a row on the ladder the other day. I could have been NS Hoso, man. Oh, those poor guys. I really like those guys.
Jachi is beast, man.
Huh?
He's not. Jachi's so good. He's just not. He's unlucky.
Yeah. Let's do that. But okay, so who wins the LAN? Because there is like a tournament in it, right? So
Yeah.
who wins this tournament, guys? Real quick.
Kane, Puck, or Vibe is gonna be my guess.
Kane, Puck, or Vibe?
Yeah.
I can't go with that, even though I want to root for Root here,
No
but
bias. No bias.
I see some other players in here that are impressive. I just look at him like the Muslim Sound and Grubby keep popping out to me. I guess it's not too hard to have those 3 pop out to you, but they are.
Yeah. I'm going to
Yeah,
say
I don't know.
either Grubby or Golden. I don't know. I feel like Golden's pretty dangerous.
Golden is
Yeah.
quite good.
Yeah, and you know,
Can't
he
be
did make it into GSL, so he's been playing pretty well recently as well.
No, that's true.
I'm gonna say, like, honestly speaking, I think Kane, the Muslim, and Grubby. I think Puck can upset a lot of people if he shows up on a good day, because he's so random. Like sometimes he can beat anyone, and then sometimes he just plays like shit, and like and he knows it too. So it's not like, you know, I'm bashing or anything like that. Select has been playing a lot better than when he started, I guess. I don't know. He made like first on GM on an A, which, you know, like early days, but still. I'm gonna say the Muslim, Kane, and Sound are my favorites.
Okay.
The most exciting part of the tournament for me is waiting to see what Puck does to everyone else, because he has the most fucking absurd build orders you have ever seen. And I can't wait to watch.
Does
Yeah.
he do the Void Ray Immortal against you?
Actually.
Does that a lot, a few other
Yeah.
things. Just pretty much anything. Lots of void race.
Like if you look at the path that Puck had to go to get into WCS like Premier League, it's insane. Like even his path to qualify to Challenger, like he had to be like Sage and Kian just to qualify to Challenger. It's like, it's so random. It's like I swear, like sometimes it's like I play him on the ladder and it's like I crush him, and sometimes I don't stand a fucking chance. And it's like,
You want to know why? I know why. Look at the builds he does.
Maybe, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's not hard to figure out.
But here's the thing. Like he'll tell you too. Like he'll be like, "Oh, I'm playing like shit." Like, and then he'll be like, "I'm playing so good," and every time it's true. Like I don't know. Maybe he. I don't know. Pretty inconsistent, but I think can beat anyone.
Well, they're supposed to go live with a patch that does give some speed boost to the Warp Prism, and all I can think of is Puck doing the, you know, yeah, the Colossus harassment that he does already without that. So I don't know. Yeah, you could definitely do quite a few upsets there.
Yeah, Puck's a fan of Warp Prisms in general.
Yeah.
He says he always wins with that build the first time he plays anyone, even if it's a top tier Korean. So
He has a few
definitely.
builds like that. Like
Yeah.
if he goes up against Golden the first time he sees the Void Ray Immortal all in, I'm pretty sure it's going to work. That's not something you
Yeah.
just counter off the bat.
Void Ray Immortal all in, you say?
Yeah.
I don't know if I even want to hear about this build. This sounds.
He was talking about it earlier.
Those 2 units don't combo well, guys. I'm sorry to say they aren't.
You
meant
think
to,
that? You think
I
that?
know that, but
Don't combo well against Muta.
Yeah, if you rush for 3-base,
I guess they're pretty good against roaches. But if you're making roaches against those, yeah. All right. Well, it has certainly been an interesting show, but I do believe it is time to go. Let's go ahead and do some shout-outs. It's been a lot of fun. Theognis, your shout-outs.
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter at RootTheognis. Also,
1T.
thanks to Root Gaming and all of our sponsors, DOS Keyboard, Twitch, Aver Media, MyGamer.info. And other than that, I guess just keep a lookout for me at MLG. So, yep, thanks.
That's right. He's a nice guy. Idra, what are your shout-outs?
Follow me on Twitter. It's now at Idra instead of at Idrachit. I got it changed. but if you already followed me, then that transferred over, so don't worry about that. And then my Facebook /Idrajit and my stream twitch.tv/Idrajit as well. And mostly just check out the stream. Got my subscriber package up and streaming pretty much every day with subscriber arcade game days and all that kind of stuff, plus playing Terran once or twice a week.
How do you like the arcade games? I've never tried them.
Star Strikers is good. The rest of them are fun.
Do they have any DBZ RPGs? Because I might subscribe to your Twitch chat if you play that with me.
No, I don't play RPGs. Those are terrible.
I'm sad. Okay. Catz, your shoutouts.
Yeah, thanks to Das Keyword a bunch and MyGamer.info, as Theognis said, they have pretty cool cards. Like they're gaming business cards, so if you want to get those for MLG, I'll gladly trade mine for yours. And then yeah, we're getting the house. Like we'll release news about exactly who's going to the house and location and all that stuff pretty soon. But the root house will be set after MLG Anaheim. We'll actually be driving back to the house after MLG, and root will have about 10 players at MLG, plus Axel Plus and Theognis, and some staff members. So it's our biggest showing ever, and we're really excited for it. So come and say hi, and yeah, if you subscribe to my stream, you actually get free hugs from me. That's still a thing. So yeah, that's it.
Sick. All right, excellent. As for me, big cheers to TP Sports and iBuyPower, my awesome sponsors. I was really busy for a while, and then I went on vacation for a few days, which is why we're late this week. I should be going back to regular time next week for the show. And you know, big cheers to Simpatico TV on Twitter. He is awesome, does all our production for the show. And Matt Iliantis for the music and whatnot. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you tune into the well, it's not GSL, but tune into GOM TV tonight, because Tastes and I will be casting the next couple groups in OSL, so you definitely want to check that out. It's a lot of fun. A lot of people don't know yet that we're actually casting it over there, so check that out. And thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you.